everyone, I hope you're really well. Welcome, or indeed welcome back to the channel. If you are new, don't forget to hit subscribe, because today I thought we would do a full face of first impressions. So if you saw my recent sale haul video, then you'll know that I have a lot of new things to try. And because I've got a whole load of new things to try, I thought, why not let's just do a full face of first impressions and just pick things that I have not used yet. So I'm very excited and equally quite nervous about how this is going to turn out. So I've got a whole bag here filled with lots of new things to try. So let's get you zoomed in a little bit more and we'll pop some of this on my face. Okay, so hopefully I am going to remain in focus for the whole of this video. My autofocus on my camera is really noisy, so I have to set the focus and then kind of hope for the best. But I am planning on getting a new camera, so hopefully I'll be able to get one which has a much quieter autofocus, and then I won't need to worry about these things. That will be so nice. So for base, I've decided to go for the Tarte BB cream that I picked up in one of the discovery kits where Tarte had their sale recently. And I think this is going to be an okay match for me. I picked it up in the shade Light, but I have heard really good things about the BB cream if you've got oily skin. This is what it looks like. It looks like it's going to be a pretty decent match for me for this time of year. Usually with a BB cream, I would just use my fingers, so I think that's what we will go for. It feels quite silicone-y. It's got a very slippery quality to it, which is making it spread really far. I'm now worried I've picked up too much product. Feels nice though. It does seem to be going on really nicely. I did bring a sponge out with me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to need it at all, because it does just feel like a moisturiser or something, although it is very slippery, so I'm thinking there is some kind of silicone in here. Does seem to be evening everything out really nicely though. I do generally love a nice BB or CC cream for when I'm in a hurry or during the summer when it's really hot and you can just quickly throw something on and it doesn't look too makeup-y. But this is looking quite makeup-y from what I can see. I mean, it's not completely covered everything up, but wow, has it given me some good coverage. That amount that I had on my hand, I think, was probably a bit too much. It has sat a bit funny in some of my pores here, so I think I'm just going to blend it a little bit with a sponge. But everywhere else, it looks gorgeous. I am so impressed with this BB cream. It looks beautiful. It just looks like nice skin. I mean, I don't think I'm fooling anyone with that my skin would look like this normally. I do have stuff still peeking through. I will pop some pictures in just so that you can see how well it has covered things. My scar is still showing through. I've got a spot here still showing through. My pigmentation is still showing through. But you know what? It just looks beautiful. It's got such a nice finish. It's very natural looking. And it just went on like an absolute dream. It did have quite a slippery feeling to it, which made it blend very easily, apart from gathering in a few little pores, which I've now sorted out with a sponge. I bet it would go on nice with a brush as well, just purely because of how easy that blended out. Well, so far I'm very excited with where this full face of first impressions video is headed. In terms of how it's feeling as well, it's dried down to quite a kind of soft, comfortable, kind of somewhere between a skin-like finish and a demi-matte. I think it's absolutely beautiful. If this wears nicely, I am about to get very excited about this BB cream. Right, I'm just going to quickly prime my eyes with my usual eye primer. Because of the fact that I have oily skin, I do definitely need some kind of primer just to help things last a bit better and not crease on me, because otherwise everything creases on me. So I'm going to try and give this eyeshadow the best shot possible. So whilst I'm waiting for that primer to sink in a little bit, I'm going to move on to brows. I have freshly coloured my brows, so I'm not going to need as much brow product as usual, but I've brought along this e.l.f. brow product because I've heard so many good things about this and I just cannot wait to try it. So you've got the spoolie on one end and then the product on the other, and I picked this up in the shade Deep Brown. The spoolie is actually quite a nice one. It's quite firm but not too rigid. So I'll just quickly comb my brows through. There's nothing quite like a freshly coloured brow. Just makes life so much easier. So it's fairly pointed. I did swatch this in my sale haul video, so it's not quite as pointy as it once was. But I've heard it's supposed to be quite waxy, which makes it go on nicely, but also last really well as well. Not that I really have problems with brow products sticking around, but I personally prefer something that feels a bit more waxy and not sticky as it's going on, but it just feels like it's not really going to go anywhere. As you're brushing it through your brows, you can feel it almost kind of catching on the brow hairs and skin, just because it is slightly more waxy, which I personally really like. Can you see how quickly that's just laid down some serious colour? I'm definitely going to need to do some blending in a second. What I also quite like about more waxy ones, I've got quite a bold sort of area here which I'm currently trying to regrow, and it's taking time. And with a more waxy brow pencil, I find that it adheres much better to the hair and skin as well if you do have some sort of boldy areas. But this is going on really nicely and very quickly as well. I'm barely touching my skin at all, I'm just really lightly brushing. Okay, so clearly I do have quite a lot of blending to do now, because whoa, are those some serious brows that I've got going on at the moment. Let's hope that it can be blended back a little bit to look a bit more natural. That's a bit better. It's not really blending a huge amount. Normally I'm used to brow products disappearing a bit easier than this. Maybe I should have gone for a slightly lighter colour. But you know, when you brush through a brow product and it's not really going anywhere, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think I'm happy with them, I'm not sure. I'm kind of looking like I've got crazy eyebrows going on for a minute, so I think I'm going to step away from the brows for a second and we'll move on to something else, and I'll maybe come back to them in a minute just to see how it's looking once I've got a bit more colour on my face. Okay, so we're going to move on to eyes now, and I thought I would give this baked shadow trio a go. This was in brown Bonanza. I've already had a go with the e.l.f. smudge pots, which I got in my sale haul, and I am quite liking them. I don't love the packaging. I'm finding the packaging quite frustrating because the pots are really small, so it's quite difficult to get your finger in there, and it generally feels quite cheap. But the formula of the product itself is actually quite comparable to Maybelline Colour Tattoo, and that's exactly what I wanted. So I'm sure I will update you more on those probably in my next Best and Worst of Beauty. But I thought I would go for this baked trio today, which looks really pretty. They all look quite shimmery though, which makes me a little bit nervous because sometimes you do want a matte to play with. But I am going to just purely use these shadows because at the end of the day, they've been sold in a trio, so you should be able to use them all together. I'm also going to give this e.l.f. blending brush a go as well. Straight away I'm getting quite a lot of kick up on this lighter shade here, and yeah, it's very, very shimmery, which is not normally a look I go for all over the lid, to be honest. I do quite like how this brush feels though. It's flexible, but it's also quite stiff as well, so you feel like you are actually blending. That's very shimmery, and it's also gone up a lot higher than I'd planned to as well. Oh well, it's just makeup. It will wash off at the end of the day. I think because it's got a fair bit of sort of kickback to it, when you blend it, it's kind of flicking it further up the eye than perhaps you would want. So it's one of these ones that you'd have to tread with quite carefully, unless you just used it as like a more precise inner corner highlight or something. See, this side has come out much nicer, and I think perhaps I didn't pick up quite so much product, whereas this side is kind of shimmer craziness. I've also brought with me my Zoeva 230 Luxe pencil brush as well, because I really like this brush for being able to sort of do a bit of detail. I'm just going to go in with this brown one now. I can't decide if this might be matte actually. Let's just swatch it quickly. Okay, it's not matte, it's more of like a pearlescent shadow. Can you see it's got quite a sort of pearlescent quality to it? So it's not glittery or shimmery in that respect, but it is going to have a bit more of a glow to it again. I can't get over how this eye is looking, it's so blingy. Oh well. I haven't used eyeshadow in a little while actually, because I have just been relying on my cream eyeshadows, because I don't usually have time to bother with doing anything more elaborate. I do quite like this brown one though, it's a nice colour. And it's going on really nicely and easily too. I'm just a bit terrified of using that same blending brush because I'm going to make things look really shimmery. So I'm just going to try and get some of that off. Ooh, yeah, this brush is really nice actually. It's making blending very easy. Because it's just that really nice mixture of flexible but slightly stiff too. I've also got this nice bronzy sort of shade here as well, but again it's very shimmery looking, so I'm not quite sure where to put that. Oh, that colour's lovely. Isn't that a gorgeous colour? That's beautiful. It's really quite buttery and creamy as well. Maybe pick up just a little bit and just pop it in here. Quite liking wearing these sort of bronzy, coppery colours at the moment. I think these kind of colours go quite nicely with my eyes as well. I think in terms of this particular trio, I think the darker colours are really nice and I think they are workable. This kind of champagne-y colour here is slightly terrifying because it's quite a chunky, shimmery shade. So I'm not sure if I'd want to put a wash of that all over my eyes again. But I think for an inner corner highlight, or maybe even to use it as a highlighter, might be the way to go. Because if I just swatch it for you next to the others, you see how blingy it is. So it's nice, but not sure if I really want all of that all over my lid. So I will remember that for next time. Okay, I think to amp up my eye look even more, because of course that's what I want to do right now, is I'm going to go for one of the e.l.f. pencils that were in the amazing bargain eye pencil kit. I think, what was it, like 89p or something? This is a bronzy shade and I just think it looked absolutely beautiful. It does have a bit of glitter running through it. I will just swatch it for you. It's not matte, there is a kind of shimmer running through it, but it's probably not going to translate on camera particularly well. But I think that's a lovely colour. So let's go for maybe a bit of detail on the outer corner of my eye. I am absolutely rubbish at eyeliner. It's something I need to practice, but I just never have the time. It's very creamy though. It's going on really easy, which also makes me worry a little bit about its staying power. I do like the colour of this. Again, I think it goes with my green eyes really nicely. Okay, I think that's probably about as far as I want to take my eye look, because this is already in the territory of more makeup than I would usually wear anyway. I like how it's looking at the moment and hopefully it will last a decent amount of time too. Something I forgot to show you guys in that sale haul video was a freebie that I picked up from Space MK, and look at this amazing freebie. It's from Cover FX and it's their custom enhancer drops in Moonlight, and look at how decent this sample is. I don't wear highlighter or anything like that very often, so this is probably going to last me the rest of my life. But it's such a cute sample and it looks absolutely gorgeous. I feel like I have just put molten metal on my hand. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? But also terrifying at the same time. I really don't think you would need to use very much of this stuff. I have no idea how much it is, but I will pop the price on screen if I can find it. Oh, terrified. This is where things could go horribly wrong. It's so pretty. Can you still see it? Hopefully you can. I think this is probably the only place that I would end up putting highlighter, because I don't think I'd necessarily want to put it anywhere else, especially as I have super shimmery eyelids as well. I know that technically you're probably supposed to mix this in with your foundation or something because it's called custom enhancer drops, but I'd already put my base on, so we are just going to kind of wing it, but hopefully you can still see it. Looks really pretty. Right, let's move on to mascara, and I've got this mascara from e.l.f. It's their Lengthening and Defining Mascara in black. This was another absolute bargain in the sale. I think it was under £1, so we will see about how good it is. It's really nice packaging, feels really good quality. Ooh, okay. Slightly smaller wand than I'm used to seeing, because everyone seems to come out with mega huge ones at the moment, and it looks to be quite a thick and sticky formula. I think this is going to take a while to build up. I would say that other mascaras have given me much more length and definition in one coat. It did feel like it's quite dry and that I didn't have very much product on the wand at all. So because it said it was quick drying, I think I'm going to go in with another coat straight away. Okay, I think I'm going to stop there before things start to go wrong, because I'm a bit worried about how it's going to dry, and it's already starting to look a little bit clumpy. I wouldn't have said it really has lengthened my lashes hardly at all. I've definitely had other mascaras that make my lashes look a lot longer than this, but I think it does look quite nice. But it's definitely more of kind of a natural lash look as opposed to quite dramatic. On my lashes anyway, and my lashes are quite short. This is my problem side now. I think the one coat on this side has actually come out a little bit better, whether that's because it's picking up a bit more product now or something, but I'm just going to go in with another coat. It's a very thick and quite sticky formula, which is taking a bit of work to get through the lashes. Okay, so that's kind of 2 coats on each side, and I am quite liking how it's looking. But it's not what I'm used to in terms of some of the other mascaras that I've been using, that I've kind of been opening my eyes up that bit more because they're giving me a little bit more length, whereas my eyelashes look obviously coloured and fairly voluminous. I wouldn't have said they're amazingly well defined. They are a little bit clumpy, but I don't hate it. I think it's quite nice. Right, there's not many products left to go, so I think I'm now going to go in with blush, and I've chosen Candid Coral from e.l.f. I have been using the Tickled Pink blush, but I've only used it a couple of times. So I thought I'd go with Candid Coral, which looks like this. And I'll just quickly swatch it. One thing I've found with the Tickled Pink blush, it really takes quite a lot of building up to really be noticeable, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it makes it very difficult to go overboard. But just building up this swatch for you now so that you can see it on camera is taking kind of multiple swipes of my finger in the pan. So that's what it looks like in the pan, and then that's what it looks like on the skin, and that's with multiple swipes with my finger. So they're not the most pigmented from what I can tell, but that isn't necessarily a bad thing either. And I've also got with me the e.l.f. Angled Blush Brush as well, which I have used with the Tickled Pink blush, and I do actually quite like this. I think it's quite nice to have an actual proper dedicated blush brush instead of just using other things. So I'm going to attempt to go in heavy-handed. Again, I think it's got a shimmer to it, so I'm basically going to be going around looking like a disco ball today. At least I suppose it's the right time of year in terms of wanting to look glowy and healthy and like a disco ball, I suppose. I must say, I do actually really like both of them. Even though there seems to be a sort of shimmery glow to them, they just kind of make your skin look really healthy and vibrant. So yeah, I think I like it. And my brows not looking quite so ridiculous now that I've got a bit more makeup on. I hope they are, because I'm not sure if they will blend back much more than this. I'll just try, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Normally I would put some kind of gel over the top, but I want to leave them as they are just to see how this performs on its own, just to see if it wears off at all. I also normally like to use a gel just to bring a little bit more prominence back to my actual brow hairs to make it look a bit more natural, and at the moment I think it's looking pretty obvious that I have got brow product on. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be blending back much more than that. Okay, I don't think I've missed anything out. I think the very last thing that I've got to put on is something on my lips. And as much as I know you guys are probably hoping that I've chosen one of those NYX lip creams in one of the darker colours, and I would love to put one of those on for you right now, but I am just about to go out somewhere and I need to experiment with them a little bit more before I actually go out and wear a lip colour like that in the world. So sorry for being a total wimp, but I have gone for instead one of the Lipstick Queen lip crayons, and I've gone for Pink Bluff because I think I used the other one in my sale haul video, didn't I? So this is what it looks like. Quite nice chunky packaging. And then this is Pink Bluff because I feel like this is quite a strong look for me on a daily basis anyway, so I think if I'd gone for quite a dark lip as well, it might be a little bit too much for during the week and during the day. But let's try and do quite a heavy swatch for you so you can see it. I think those colours actually, because I've kept all the swatches on from everything, go together really nicely actually, so I think this was probably a good call. And as you can see already, this is quite a pigmented colour anyway, to the point that I am probably just going to blend this back a little bit because it is a little bit strong for how I want to be looking right at this particular moment. It's nice though, it feels nice, feels very moisturising, and the colour payoff there was really good. Okay, so I think that is my full face done. What do you think? How did I get on? Did I do okay? I am pretty happy. I'm going to be quite happy to walk out the door looking like this. There's nothing too scary going on. I think for the moment, the standout exciting thing for me in terms of everything that I've put on my face is this BB cream. I think my skin is looking gorgeous and it feels very comfortable, and yeah, that was a very pleasant surprise. I'd heard good things about it, but you just don't know until you try these things. Okay, so I think I'm going to get on with the rest of my day, and then I will see you at the end of the day and we'll compare how it's looking from a fresh application to at the end of the day and how everything hung in there. I'm excited. I think it's all looking really quite nice. Hi everyone, so as promised, it's now the end of the day. I've been wearing this makeup all day and I am so excited with my full face of first impressions. I've not really looked in the mirror that much, but now is the time for scrutinisation. I am so impressed with this BB cream. It still feels really comfortable. It's not made my skin feel oily at all, which is amazing, because if you've been watching my channel for a little while, then you'll know that I do struggle with the oiliness situation, and considering I had no primer on at all, it was literally just a little bit of moisturiser and then this on top, I am actually really delighted. I am ever so slightly glowy, and that may well be picking up on camera, but it's kind of in the territory of what just looks like normal kind of healthy skin really, nothing too uncomfortable feeling. But it does just feel really lovely. Ever so slightly tacky to the touch, but it really isn't anything at all. So I am extremely happy with this BB cream. May have to invest in the full size once this one runs out. In terms of my brows, they do seem to have hung in pretty nicely. I don't know if this was me blending or what, but they do seem to have smudged a little bit here, which is where I would usually kind of experience problems with brow products. But all in all, they're not looking too bad. I do think I need to play around with it a bit more though, because it did look very dark very quickly, even though I was going with a light hand. That could be a mistake in the shade, but I think I can pretty much get away with it. In terms of the blush, I can still see it twinkling away on my cheeks. It's giving me that kind of natural, nice, healthy glow. And likewise the same with the highlighter too, which hopefully you can see. This whole sort of region here is quite blingy because now my natural oils have started to come through and the whole thing is looking glowy, but in a very nice, natural, healthy, glowy kind of way. So very impressed with the highlighter and the blush. Eye stuff. I don't think it's creased at all, but then using my eye primer I wouldn't have expected it to. The colour does seem to have worn away a little bit, but it's not too bad. I definitely won't be reaching for that champagne-y colour all over the lid because it is very shimmery, but I think it's still looking nice. The mascara, it's okay. It was very cheap. I can hardly complain really. It's looking okay. It doesn't seem to have smudged too much. It's maybe smudged a little bit, so that's quite impressive because normally I suffer with smudging quite badly, but it's just not giving me the kind of lash look that I want really. It's quite subtle, which normally subtle isn't a problem, but they look quite short, and considering it was a lengthening mascara, it's not really lengthened very much at all. But it's not a complete failure, I will still use it. Lip product is obviously worn off now. I have been reapplying it throughout the day, and I've just been treating it as a lip balm, and it's actually been really nice to use throughout the day. It is slightly more pigmented than perhaps I would want it to be, but that is just personal preference because I do love quite a subtle lip look most of the time. So I do need to experiment a bit more with using some more bold and daring colours, but it's just how I like to go about my day, wearing very natural and pretty colours. I forgot to mention that eyeliner I can pretty much still see. I've got a little bit here still, and there's a little bit on top, so it has worn off a little bit, but the fact that you can still see it after a full day's wear I think is quite impressive really, considering how cheap they were, particularly that it's actually stayed on my lower lashes as well, because usually things would wear off there. All in all, I think that this has been a phenomenal success. I'm absolutely over the moon with the products that I've put on my face today. It did give me a slightly different everyday look than what I usually do. Things have kind of calmed down and worn off a little bit, but I think for the price of most of the products that I use today, I am more than happy with how things are looking right now after a full day's wear. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, because I don't think I've done a full face of first impressions before. Yes, that is a mouthful to say, so let me know what you thought of this video. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate a thumbs up down below because it does really help support my channel. And if you are new and would like to see more content like this from me in the future, I will pop a button just here so you can click it and get notified of new content as and when it gets uploaded. And if you've not seen my last video, I will pop a link to that one just up here so you can click it and check that one out too. Anyway, I hope you're all really well, and I will see you again soon. Bye!